One of the cool things about the guitar is that you can actually play the same note in multiple places on the neck. But this also can make the guitar and learning the notes on the neck a little bit confusing. But it can come in very handy when you're trying to figure out fingerings for maybe a solo passage or a melody line. First, let's explore this though. Like what I'm talking about is we can play this same G here, here, and here. It's the same note no matter where I play it on those strings. It's the same pitch. It might sound slightly different because of the thicker strings, but it's the same pitch. Now, here's what's cool though. Let's look at this though from the concept of arpeggios. And we're going to talk about a major arpeggio. And what is that? Well, an arpeggio is simply when you play the notes of a chord, the root, the third, and the fifth individually. So let's look at this. We're going to start kind of in our favorite pentatonic box. Box 1, everyone's favorite box. And we're going to look at playing a C major arpeggio starting with our pinky. So we're going to play C, the third E, and the fifth G up top. Now watch this. This is the shape. I'm going to change, instead of my pinky, I'm going to use my second finger now. And I'm going to play the same arpeggio. Same notes, but it's laid out a little bit differently. Now watch this. Same thing again. I'm going to take my first finger and I'm going to play that arpeggio. Same notes. So you see there, I have 3 different fingering ideas for the same exact arpeggio. And let's do a little bit of a deeper dive. Let's break this down a little bit further. What do you notice that's happening here? Well, the first one is across 3 strings. I have the C on the low E string, the E on the A string, and the G on the D string. For the next one, I have 1 note first, and then on the next string, I have 2 notes. So that is no longer a 3-note spread, or 3-string spread. It's all happening on 2 strings, but the first one has 1 note, and the next one has 2 notes. Now when I use my first finger, playing C, E, G, it's the same thing but reversed, meaning that there's 2 notes on the first string, and 1 on the last string. So you can see here, depending on where you're going to go, like maybe in your melody line, that might be nice. That might be nice. That might be nice. Again, it depends kind of where the destination is, but I wanted to show you these different shapes. Now let's explore this a little bit further and take it on the next set of strings. And instead of playing it down here with the pinky, I'm going to jump up here to the octaves just so we can see what this looks like. So now this is the same arpeggio idea. So we're going to play C, E, and G. Well, we notice that's the same shape. Let's do a breakdown of the second finger going in this place. Same thing. And let's do the last one that we had. Same shape. So we can see that same shape is going to work when we get to that next group of strings, which is the A, D, and G string. So now let's try this string. Uh-oh, that shape's not working now. Why is that? Well, it's because the way the guitar is tuned. Since the B string is tuned differently, we just have to move everything up a fret. And you might remember or see the shape inside of your bar shape here. So instead of this, we're just moving it up. And I'm just going to switch fingers because it's easier, obviously, to play it right across this way. Let's do the next one with the 1 on the 1 string, the 3rd, and then the 5th on the next string. So this is the 1 and then 2 on the next string. That's the same as this one. And let's do the last one. Same. So that works out the same. So there's really only one variation of fingering, which is this one. Oh, which is this one. Great. Now let's go look up one more set of strings and we'll try this high E string. Well, this looks different as well because, again, the way the B string is tuned. So across the 3-string version, we're going to do it this way. For the next one, it'll be... So that looks different again because we're mainly staying on the B string. And the last one. But this really illustrates well my point that this fingering most likely is going to be very conducive to playing something or going to another place melodically. It might work in some cases, but for my fingers that's more awkward than... Maybe to demonstrate this a little bit further, let's go up one set of strings here, because mainly what you're thinking about when you're playing these lines, I think a lot about like the Hotel California solo, right? They're playing these wonderful arpeggiated lines, and since that's generally done more higher up in the register or on the higher strings, let's look at these shapes just for fun. The first one would be this. Well, it looks very familiar, right? It was the second one that we learned. The next one would be this. So out of these two shapes, to me, this one is just a little bit easier to play for this type of a line if I'm going for more of a pull-off type of thing. Instead of playing, it's not very fun to play that way, but it might work for getting into something else. So you can't really rule all of these out. Now, when you're practicing this too, what's nice about this and understanding these different shapes is that it can really help you learn the notes on the fretboard. So while you're going through this exercise, make sure you're saying the notes. C, E, G, C, E, G, C, E, G. No matter where you start it. C, E, G, C, E, G, C, E, G, C, E, G. Just start saying those over and over again, and the more you practice this, especially when you start doing different arpeggios, like let's take a G arpeggio right here, G major. It's G, B, D, G, B, D. The same fingers are going to work, but now that you know the notes, you really can, again, start navigating and learning the fretboard a lot easier. So take some time with this, and you can also, if you want to get really adventurous, you can actually go into the inversions of an arpeggio. And what do I mean by that? Well, here we were starting with the root as the first note, C, E, G, but you can always also start with the third, so it's E, G, C, or you can start with the fifth, G, C, E. And you can learn those shapes as well all over the neck. But first, start basic with those first kind of fingerings, the ones that's 3 notes across 3 different strings, one with the 2 notes on the next string, or the 2 notes and 1 on the next string. Have fun learning your arpeggios, and give this a try to also help you learn the names of the notes on the fretboard.